All right, natural gas vehicles, and we are going to continue right with Module 11, picking up right with natural gas. And this is just talking about some of those vehicles that are out there that are natural gas. And one of the biggest holdings in the United States as far as natural gas vehicles being purchased, which are fuel cell vehicles. These are fuel cell vehicles, is out in California. But there are some on the road in New York, Oklahoma, and a few in Utah. And here are the natural gas fueling stations that are available, and you can see them based on numbers. So there's between 100 and 200 natural gas fueling stations in California, and you can basically see where it goes from there as far as who has what. Electric vehicles. This is the great hope, right? That we would all convert to electric vehicles, and they are becoming more prevalent and more affordable. And so it's something that might be in our wheelhouse. It can also be a lot less expensive to run a electric vehicle. There's a lot of products out there that one can use to run electric vehicles, and I'm just showing you images of these fueling stations. There are two different ways that we can view these hybrid systems. So these are electric vehicles that run on both electric and gas, are hybridized engines. And so you can basically see there's two forms. There are hybrid electric vehicles that run a lot more mileage based on their hybrid energies. And then there's hybrid electric vehicles nowadays that are running based on running their electronics based on those hybrid energies. And so there's two types of hybrid vehicles on the market. The ones that are really running the mechanics and are very low-grade hybrids. And then we have the ones that are very high-end hybrids. Ethanol. Ethanol is another one. Ethanol is an easy production based on masses that are biomass again. These are specifically, ethanols are produced by plant-based biomass. So they have to have a rigid cell wall or a plant-based structure to produce an ethanol product. And so this is where we talk about things like corn ethanol or sugar ethanol. The most prevalent is the Chevy E85s that came out a while ago, and they're still gaining a lot of momentum. And if you live out in what's considered the Corn Belt of the United States, you can see more E85 or flexible fuel vehicles, that are out there. But E85, once again, in its term means that it's 85% ethanol, 15% gasoline. It has a growing market. And here is the little graphic again showing you, once again, I said Corn Belt. Here we go, Corn Belt. And you can see there's a lot more fueling options for E85 out in those regions. They had a lot of momentum, I would say, about 5 years ago. And then in the last 5 years, they've kind of pittered off and they've fallen behind electric. But for a while, they were right up there competing as highly as an electric or a hybrid vehicle would. And now they're kind of like the fourth in line for most popular based alternative fuel vehicle. Hydrogens. Now, as I mentioned, hydrogens are not actually hydrogen-based vehicles. These are hydrogen monoxide dioxide production vehicles, and so a lot of these hydrogen-based vehicles are actually natural gas or liquefied petroleum-based vehicles. Currently, there's nothing like this on the market. The nice thing about these hydrogen vehicles is that with the production of the pollution that we would produce is mostly going into the form of water. So your tailpipe is actually dripping or you're collecting it in a tank. And so it's that set. And here's some hydrogen-based fuel cell models. But look at this thing. Would you want to drive this thing? It's an ugly car. Nobody wants to drive that hydrogen car. Thank you, Honda. Ugly car. Once again, this is the hydrogen and this is the compressed natural gas and hydrogen liquefied natural gas. And here are those hydrogen vehicles. They are something that is universally usable. Oh, really quick, with the hydrogen vehicles, as I'm showing them to you, they are not on the road as an open market. You can find them as something that you can buy privately, but there's no current fueling stations for these hydrogen vehicles. And there is only private-based or public in the sense like government-based, where we have government vehicles that are filling on hydrogen and they own their own private fueling setup. But this is basically what that fueling setup would look like. So I gave you a little image of what a hydrogen fueling station would look like in the future. Methanol. This is considered CH40. And the methanol is based on a mixture of 40% straight methanol, 60% plant-based biodiesel in its efficient models. They're pretty good. You can also create these methanol-based plants on seaweed, waste wood, and garbage. And this doesn't have to be a vehicle. These methanol-based plants can actually run or produce power. So I could be generating electricity through these methanol-based. So once again, this is a fuel cell model in its structure, and I'm just using methanol as my fuel to heat within my fuel cell. Methanol is a very old form. Obviously, we see it in race cars. So it's not like it's a new fuel. This is a very old fuel, one that we can continue to develop as we move forward. So now that we've gone through this basic setup, here is another little list about what are the characteristics of each little fuel. And I like these charts. I feel like it really creates a nice, concise way to see or understand the information, because the truth is the chapter and the text does not do this content justice. You are getting a lot more content from the stuff I'm providing than you are going to get in the chapters in the book. The book is outdated in this subject matter. So as we're looking at here, we have biodiesel. I'm showing you here it's a liquid. The main fuel source is production out of soybean. Methanes. This is compressed natural gas. This is your methane, not methanol, different thing that's down here. And that one's being produced as gas, underground reserves. You can basically see which each part is, whether it's a gas or a liquid, how it's produced, and what it's being produced out of in its simple set. And so this two-parter is your pretty straightforward set for this week's module. And I'd like to remind you that there's a lot of additional vehicle videos that are talking about all these fuel sources in greater depth that are created by Energy 101. And so please watch your Energy 101 videos. And as always, if you have any questions, please comment and place them down in the discussion module. Take care.